So this is probably the best AI related music news that we've had in quite a while for AI music. So the performing rights organisations that are known as ASCAP, BMI and SOCAN are now going to accept registrations of partially AI generated musical works. Now, we use the word partially loosely, but let's get into the article and then we can see a bit more about it. So SOCAN is Canada's. You've got US performing rights organisations, ASCAP and BMI, which are probably the biggest, I think. They all jointly announced on October 28th what they call an alignment of their AI registration policies. So this is huge because a decision has been made about what is now accepted in terms of registrations. So they're saying that they'll now accept registrations of partially AI generated musical work. So for anybody that just clicks the button with the prompts, and I still appreciate that that can be a lot of work, that is still a no-no. But the good news is that let's say you've put your vocals on a track potentially, you've created the lyrics, or you've put in a couple of extra stems as a producer, then you can actually register those works directly with those individual societies themselves. So all three of the registration policies define a partially AI generated musical work as one that combines elements of AI generated music content with elements of human authorship. Now, what I was kind of expecting was maybe there was going to be a certain percentage or something, but then maybe that's too rigid. So I feel that they've done maybe the best fit approach here. So it's saying that these works will now be included as part of the full repertoires licensed by each society. Now, I recently had a huge issue in terms of my PRO because I had 300 tracks on there. I created a couple of AI generated tracks with my added elements on them, and my entire catalogue was put on hold for around 6 months. So I was panicking about all of the revenue that I was going to potentially lose. They then came back and assured me that I would still be paid when it's all unlocked, but I couldn't access my statements. I was unable to register new tracks. It was like they were trying to work out their process before I could go any further with it. So I then had to announce which of those tracks were partially AI generated. And then eventually, through much chasing and much explaining my situation on social media, which I nearly did a video on this channel, to be fair, but I thought I'd give them the benefit of the doubt many times, that they decided to eventually delete those particular tracks. And my original 300 track back catalogue is now back to normal with statements, and I'm getting royalties now, which is something. So it's just to make you aware that these things can really happen until these companies decide what the hell's going on, because this is new technology. They've got to understand where the rules lie, especially with the law as well. But there's a lot of power with these PROs, so the fact that they're allowing this is huge for AI generating work now. So it does say, though, that musical compositions that are entirely created using AI tools will not be eligible for registration with any of the individual societies. So if you've got any particular works that is 100% AI generated, and I imagine there's going to be a lot of disputes with this, then they're not going to be eligible. So it's probably not what everybody wanted to hear, but there has to be a balance, and I think that they've at least reached a balance here. And I think the majority of people will be saying that this is actually good news. So they said that their policy alignment, because they've all agreed together, reflects the fact that songwriters and composers increasingly incorporate a variety of AI tools into their creative process and workflow. And as you know, I've been featuring AI music tools for the last 2.5 years on this channel now. Still love doing it and featuring them. For the likes of Suno, Ugio, Producer, the list goes on, 11 Labs, many more. The statement continued that while an increasing number of AI tools are training their models in an ethically responsible manner that respects the rights of human creators, the three pros emphasised their firm position that AI technology companies ingesting and training models on copyrighted musical works without permission from, compensated for, or credit to creators is not fair use but theft. So the PROs have been really clear about their stance with that. So I imagine that the likes of Suno and Udio will not be happy with that determination, because that could affect their claims in court, which is still yet to be decided, by the way. So the policy from the three PROs arrives 10 months after the US Copyright Office released a report outlining its approach to granting copyrights to content created using Gen I. The USCO's verdict was that a work created solely through AI is not copyrightable, but a work that combines a human creativity with AI can be copyrighted. So as long as there is sufficient amount of human expression in that work, then that should suffice. Elsewhere in the statement, they stressed that they have advocated for enforcement of strong copyright laws and staunchly defended the rights of music creators in ongoing debates over AI policy across the US and Canada. Now, bearing in mind, this is the US and Canada only at this stage with those PROs. This isn't covering the UK. So it's going to be interesting to see how the different markets react to this news, whether they're all going to follow suit. I think that will still take a bit of time. There might be a different stance on it. For example, copyright is quite different in the UK where I reside, and anything that you create is typically, you don't need to register copyrighted material if you don't need to, because the copyright automatically happens when you create the works, whereas that has a very different stance in the US, etc. They've endorsed meaningful AI legislation, they claim, supported lawsuits filed on behalf of music creators against the illegal use of their work by AI companies around the globe, and weighed in on major AI policy initiatives and studies, including those launched by the US Copyright Office, the White House, and the Government of Canada, amongst others. So Elizabeth says, from ASCAP, we're clarifying our registration policy to now welcome partially AI-generated musical works because we believe AI can be a powerful tool for our members, as long as the law puts humans first and technology companies play fair and respect the rights of creators. So I'm just really pleased that there's been a decision made on this and there's a firm stance. I almost feel that creators will actually want to make more work with their generations now that they really love, and actually work with those tracks. And the likes of Suno Studio can really help with that, which I've been featuring a lot on this channel. There's still so much that we need to determine, right? There's been some really popular stuff coming out on YouTube about certain covers in different genres. There's been so much traffic and growth with some of the channels, but their videos have been taken down. And so other channels are popping up with the same videos on. So it's still a tricky space, but I feel that this has really helped bring forward at least understanding where we now stand if we're generating AI music, that there needs to be human elements involved. And they may need to be, certain amount to make it obvious. It may be that we start recording what we have done on each track to make it easier for us further down the line once we release the music. If it's ever a challenge, then you can say, okay, well, I did the lyrics, I did the vocals, I did the guitars, I did the strings, I changed this, I chopped that. That may be necessary in the future, but time will tell, I guess. Mike from BMI said all music creators will benefit from this aligned approach to the registration of partial AI works that appropriately values creators' contributions and ensures they are paid properly. And Jennifer from Canada said all music creators will benefit from this aligned approach to the registration of partial AI works that appropriately values creators' contributions and ensures they are paid properly. The future of music can embrace AI and still remain deeply human. We don't have much detail on how much human involvement needs to be, but it does say as I said earlier, it does say so long as there is a sufficient amount of human expression in that work. Now that's quite vague. It's still quite vague. So that does still concern me that there's going to be a lot of claims going forward, a lot of disputes, and what is deemed as sufficient. So yeah, I'm always fascinated in the space. So if you are too, make sure you subscribe. I'm still featuring a lot of AI platforms into the space very much. Fascinated by AI music still. and what these platforms are coming up with. Obviously, we've got the court case to decide on what happens. So what I would be saying, if you are creating generated work, obviously it's going to benefit you if you work with that track. You may want to work along a producer if you don't have that skill set. You know, I've literally just released Cubase How To Beginner's Guide. I've done 2 videos on this channel just to kind of help people understand what's involved when they have to maybe get an AI track and work with it. I mean, I've done it from scratch, to be fair. So I may do a video with AI Works in it just to kind of explain that. So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments. As always, catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye.